here. I just realized I had left my book behind, so I ran around the corner, but I got back before we started. So hopefully you guys are having a great day. It is interesting day today. So we've been a little bit busy, and the weather's feeling like fall. So hopefully you're feeling a little fallish as well. We're going to talk about creepy crayon, and hopefully you'll get some ideas so you can use in your own classroom. I have some a link to my blog post that will share. You should have it on there. That's going to share kind of an outline of what we're going to be talking about, and you can download your own version of the lesson plans there as well. So this is the book that we're going to be talking about today. If you haven't read it yet, I like it. I don't know if it's my favorite. I certainly love it. It's a little more creepier than what we see with some of the other creepy books. But this creepy crayon is pretty cool. I actually picked this one up in Arcata, California. So I have my little receipt here. But I really love this book. I have a couple of them. I had a couple of them. One I had pre-ordered, but I wasn't home when it was delivered. So I was like, okay, great. And I happened to be at a bookstore and I saw it and I'm like, okay, I'm getting it. So it's a great little tale. If you're familiar with the creepy crayons or the creepy or Jasper the Rabbit series, I should say, he's just sort of this adventuresome little rabbit. He always seems to get in trouble. So for this one, he finds this creepy crayon and he decides to take it. He finds it on the street. And all of a sudden, he had this test and he realized that he didn't study for it. But the crayon just sort of beckoned to him. And so he used the crayon and he got everything correct. So then as time goes on, he decides to blow off his homework. And one by one, he seems to have better luck with his test until Jasper really loves art. And the crayon did not want to be ignored and wanted to take over his art project. And so Jasper was very unhappy about that. And even though it was a beautiful picture, he did not like to have that happen. And he started to feel really bad about having praise for things that he didn't deserve. So the crayon became very vocal about staying part of his life. And Jasper, just even though he was getting all these A's, was very unhappy about it. He was even crowned the most improved. So he thought that was not deserved as well. So he finally decides to get rid of the crayon. He flushes him down the toilet and he floats out into the sewer. And Jasper's happy getting a C. So that's sort of kind of the outline of this book. And then Elliot Pelican finds it. So we know that the story will continue. So anyhow, that's the story of Creepy Carrots. It is a fun little book. In the lesson plans, there's also a fun little art project. So we can also he's folded up. So he's like kicking it up. He's like a can. We put the reed towel. You can put the reed towel at the bottom if you want to. That's one option for you. And so there's that retail. So students will go through and put down text details. Let me know if you have if you have this book, or if you are a fan of Aaron Reynolds' series. I would love to know. And so the download that you can get off of my blog is an editable lesson plan template. So that's free. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to give me your email, but you can go get that. And what I like for you to notice is that this is editable. So it's a PowerPoint slide, and you can go ahead and add whatever it is on whatever time you do it, right? So you can change all of these headers. You can change the activities, but I do have a couple of activities here that I suggest. So that's available to you, and plus links on where you can find like how I manage certain things in my classroom when I was in the classroom full time. This week in kindergarten, this would be week 7 of phonics instruction. You would be working with letters and sounds, U, S, P, X, and K. Almost all of the letters have been introduced by week 7 in kindergarten. In first grade, you would be working with the diagraph CH and SH. And if you were second grade, you'd be working with the silent E with more than one syllable words. So last week was silent E, single syllable, and this week you'd be working with multiple syllable words. So that's kind of what's happening in the phonics instruction on week 7. And then I always want to kind of remind you that we are doing week 7, right? But the daily drill is week 6. So it's always a week behind the phonics instruction because the drill is a review of phonics that you've already taught. And so we can't really review something you haven't taught it yet. So it follows a week behind. So if you're on week 7 of phonics, you're on week 6 of the science of reading drill activities. What else do I want to tell you about this? For Creepy Crayon, we work on visualization. If you go to that blog post, I believe you should find it linked. I'll go ahead and grab it again if we need it. But if you go to that, I did kind of lay out each of the prompts. So if you decide, you don't need to necessarily, trying to see if I have a place where I can put comments. I'm not seeing any comments, but it's also not letting me send comments. So, oh, my merciful heavens. This has been something that has been really a bit frustrating, this platform. So I've been fighting with it today, and it's not letting me. I can go ahead and screen share, and you can see that way. Whew. Okay, so if you go to this blog post, you'll be able to see that each day is kind of laid out for you. So the visualization, that's there for you. You can see the anchor chart that's there. Day 3 is the inferring activity. So students are going to be writing about that. Day 4 is problem and solution. So talking about the problem and solution that Jasper had. Day 5, Creepy Crayon, is opinion writing. Oftentimes the opinion writing is something that we do that is write about your favorite part. But for this one, the prompt is, do you think Jasper was right to get rid of the crayon? Give reasons to support your answer. And a lot of that takes place in the student discussion. So even though there is a prompt there, they may not be able to write the words to express all of that. So we're going to want to make sure that we give them a way to get their information out, and that's through student discussion. And then we also have vocabulary studies. So the 2 words that we thought was really, a little more powerful in that book was peculiar and glorious. And so you can see how we lay out the synonyms and antonyms. And then, of course, we want to make it stick. So we want to encourage them to use it in their own activities. And then here is the Creepy Crayon sentence study that we're doing. So with that, you can look for capital letters, lowercase letters. You can look for parts of speech and so look for nouns and proper nouns, those types of things. And then, of course, we have a really fun craft that they can do, which turned out really, really cute. Another thing that we like to have, there we go. It looks like I can now maybe post some comments on here. So I'll put the link on there. Another thing that we have for the week is the poem of the week. So this is School Carnival. So it's a really fun little poem. So won't you come to the school carnival, won't you come to the school carnival, music, games, and race. I have the thing right here. So here's the music, games, and face paint. I bet you can hardly wait for the fun we'll have at the carnival. So now that your dogs are all howling, that's the poem of the week. And again, there is the emergent reader that you can use. So those do have the pictures in there. Those go with the poem. So you can find that as well. What else is in this blog post? I worked on it on Sunday, so I got to refresh my memory. There's a Halloween decodable. So if that's something that you're interested in, some of those decodable books, we have them themed as well. So they'll go ahead and match the picture to the text, and then they have the story words laid out. So something that's not decodable, there's going to be story words there. They're going to color a pumpkin for every time that they have read the book. And then also, those are the decodable words. They're going to circle those vowels because that's what they're working on for this book. So they'll go ahead and add the picture for that. And then there's some fall literacy center ideas that you can find as well. And then right here, if you click on this, that will open it up into another window so that you can download that. It's a zipped file. So once you unzip it, you will go ahead and be able to edit it. So there's a PDF version if you don't want to edit anything, and then there's a PowerPoint version if you need to edit that. So, that was a lot of me talking. So I'm wondering how you guys are doing, and wondering if there is some information I can add to these weekly sessions to kind of help you in your planning, and see if there's anything that I can do to make your jobs a little bit easier. So this is also a great time. You know that I'm here live. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. And let's see, what else do I want to tell you? Have you guys signed up for the Educator Summit yet? We have a new one that's going to be taking place in January. Over 20 presenters, so over 20 hours worth of professional development, all new sessions. Our keynote is Trevor Muir, who is wonderful. He's about student engagement. Wiley Blevins is going to be back. This time he's going to be talking about decodable readers. So I'm really, really excited that he agreed to come back and provide a session for you. And so there's lots and lots of people who are going to be presenting. Some of them are the same that were there last time. Others may be new to you. So let me go ahead and drop in here. So if you haven't signed up yet, the price is going to be going up. So you may want to get it soon. We also take POs for that. So if that's something that you're interested in. But the Educator Summit is one that was very, very well loved. I got to find the link for you. Very well loved for the summer. And I think you will love it again this year. So let me go ahead, or this season. It's going to be abbreviated. So it's not going to be as much content because you won't have as much time. It'll be the winter time, so you won't have as much time to maybe go over some of that content. So we went ahead and made it a little abbreviated. And of course, the price reflects that as well. So if you weren't able to go to the summer one, this might be the one that you might want to join, because it's going to be a little bit shorter and a little less expensive. So I dropped that link in there for you. So if you haven't signed up, the price is going to be going up on the 20th. So you'll want to make sure you get it your ticket before then, because it'll go from 35 to 45, I believe, is what the next price stop off. Is that the right word? The next layer is going to be. You can find all of the information by clicking that link. I am really excited that we're going to have even some really nice new, everybody's nice, but we have some new faces also. But each session is going to be different than it was during the summer. So even though you might see some familiar faces, I'm putting my stuff away. I'm trying so hard, you guys, to be organized. It's not going so well. I'm trying to put, like, if I pick something up, put it back where it belongs versus like set it aside. And then all of a sudden I have a big hot mess. So that's what I'm working on. Goals. How about you guys? Are you really good about picking things up and putting them back where they belong? Or are you a shuffler and a stacker like I am? So I'm trying to, these are little plastic pockets that I bought a million years ago. And so I'm trying to keep things together. So here, oh, hi, Ozzy. Here is Creepy Carrots is the title of it. So I'm going to put all of that together with that week worth of lessons. I don't know where he's going. He's leaving. He was here and then he left. So that way, next year, as I'm thinking about planning, I will have these in a certain spot. Now I have this in here, and of course Jasper is not making it easy. I have some stuff at the bottom that's keeping it from going to the bottom. And then if I put the book in there, then I have it all together. I don't know about you guys. Goals. I know, Susan. Woof. So now I have these together. So each week I can have it kind of set together. And I think that's going to make it easier for planning, because it is, you don't want to reinvent the wheel necessarily. So if you could find some little shortcuts to make it easier for planning. That's why I went back to the peak of the week, because I know that people really loved it. So hopefully it helps you as well. I have for next week, Knuffle Bunny. So I have that ready also, which is strangely not like me. So anyhow, there's that. And what else? What else is happening with you guys? I don't really have a whole lot more to say other than I'm glad that you guys are here. This is a really quick plan with me session. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Anything about, the curriculum or the pacing or, anything at all, I'm happy to help. you're trying to do more electronic files, I think that really helps, especially when, you go back to next year, because what I did for these was I took last year's and I just went through and I had to make a few tweaks to it. And it just saves so much time to not necessarily, oh, you did Knuckle Bunny last week, Suzanne. You don't have to start all from the very beginning. Or if you're following our scope and sequence, you can download these and then you can just change a few things however you want to have it, just copy and paste. That makes it easier, I think for sure. Let's see. Do you guys have any problems finding the feed to find me? I know sometimes it makes it hard. I didn't send it out earlier because I was having problems with the platform. Insert bad word there, but anyhow, we got through. And here comes Ozzy and Harriet. Of course, they're back and they're playing ball or something. I don't know what they're doing behind me, but they are happy. I know you guys like to see them, huh, buddy? Yeah, it's kind of nice. Yeah, we like to be here. So anyhow, they're in and out, in and out, in and out. Let's see. I think that's probably it. Yep, he's got me now. Okay. All right, buddy. So you guys have a great week, and I will see you next week. If you have anything you want to kind of go over, what do I suggest for your littles who are a little reluctant to add the details? And I'm thinking, Donna, you're asking about maybe their writing response, right? They're drawing pictures and they're a little bit reluctant to add the details. One thing that has kind of helped me, and I know you've been in the webinars, we talked about it, is making sure that we have shown them what that really, really looks like to add the details. And then, if they are capable but not making their meaning clear, you'll know the students who are rushing through versus the ones who are who maybe are doing their best, but it still is hard to make their meaning clear. I like to say, okay, so I like to do a little bit of, like confusion, right? So I'll be like, I'm looking at your picture and I know you said that this was, your mom and dad, or I know that you said this is Knuckle Bunny, or I know that you said, but I'm wondering how we could make it look a little bit more like them, right? So what kind of details do you think that we could add? Oh, they're playing in the background. So thinking about what kinds of things that they can add. And then of course we want to make sure we model that as well. And I know Donna, you're doing that, but our star of the day was one thing that was really, really helpful because, they got to see us draw and they were doing it at the same time. So making sure that we have a setting, those types of things I think are really, really helpful. You could pull out a rubric and have, you must have the main character in a setting, and those types of things sometimes are helpful. I've had some students where I've said, oftentimes when we look at illustrations, this is not a good example, y'all, because neither is Knuckle Bunny really. But because there's not a lot of color, right? There's like 2 colors or maybe 3 if you count, gray and white and purple. But you might want to pull out some other ones and say, sometimes we add some details and we add lots of different colors. So maybe encourage them to try to use colors that make sense to add the details so that it helps the reader know what it is that the person's writing. I think sometimes one of the things that is really helpful is to always bring back the reason why writers write is to help their reader know their message. And so if somebody is writing something and they're not making their message known, then just say, what is it that you want your reader to know about what you drew here, right? And because if they're writing for you, then you'll get fewer details. If they're writing for the reader, oftentimes you'll get better details because they know that they have to lay out the scene for them. You might have to repeat that to a student again and again and again to say, I'm confused by your picture. How can you help make your meaning more clear? Because that's why writers write, is so that they can have somebody read it and make their meaning really clear. Sometimes that's really helpful. Sometimes students just don't know how to draw something, which I know is something that I suffered from as well. So by having maybe some directed drawings with that student, you can help them to know how to draw a person. Oftentimes they draw the head, with arms sticking out of it. So how do you draw a person? And even though you've probably done that whole group, you may need to do that as part of your writing conference, is just work on that drawing to show more details. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, confusion is really helpful because, you told me that this was about yada, yada, yada. But when I look at it, I'm having a hard time picking out where the dog is versus the horse, and how can we make our meaning more clear? Everything is just a big scribble or something like that. How can I help to make this more clear? And sometimes they can do that just with adding some colors. If a snowman is there, if they use the orange for the nose, that sometimes helps, that kind of thing. So thinking about how to put the picture on the paper. Suzanne, you said you used the crayon box that talked, and we talked about using all the colors in our box to help our readers know what's happening. That's a great tip, for sure. That's a great book as well. So that would be one that you could pull out to look at all the different colors that are in there. Like, quite honestly, these two books that I have in front of me, neither of them have, an extensive amount of color. Knuffle Bunny is done just kind of a unique way, which is super cool. But even though there's not a whole lot of diverse kind of colors in there, they're all kind of muted. You can tell, Mom has colors as well. So as you're reading, maybe point out, how, these colors really help make it really clear to me. I can see that, I can see the difference between Knuffle Bunny and Dad and stuff like that. Do I have a batch set of these plans? I batch plan myself. I do 4 weeks at a time. So I do, Knuffle Bunny will be my week 8 of planning. And then I'll go ahead and I'll do 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'll batch plan those. That helps me. It's much more efficient than doing it one at a time, kind of looking ahead. Now, when I was in the classroom full time, I always had to remember that the lesson plans were always the best laid plans. They don't always work out. You are thinking, I'm going to do this lesson. And 4 weeks later, even though you planned it 4 weeks ago, you look at it, you're like, my class isn't ready for that. Or I already taught that because they needed it sooner. So you have to be kind of flexible. So again, that's kind of nice to have. What I kept in my own classroom when I was in there full time is I kept my paper plans, but then I wrote on there if I made any changes. That really helped me to kind of track. Am I always having to remember this, in this moment in the year where, I thought I was going to be able to get this to this and I can't yet. So that was always kind of helped me adjust my expectations. And honestly, that's how Deanna and I both wrote the math lessons and how I wrote the writing lessons, is I just went and I taught and then came back. And I had everything kind of planned out, but there were times when I had to switch things around. So having the paper plans really, really helped me to lay out the whole lesson plans for kindergarten and first grade teachers. So you're welcome. Yeah, I think batch plan really does help, especially when you're thinking about all the subjects that you need to teach. I know you all know about the curriculum guide, right? So the curriculum guide has everything on it. So you can see it. And so it's much easier to fill out 4 different sheets at one time than it is for me to say, okay, where do I put that curriculum guide? Okay, what's my math lesson? So when I have it all laid out, it makes it so much easier to kind of batch plan, for sure. And also sometimes I'm like, I really want to make sure I include this activity. And if I don't plan ahead, then sometimes it's not cohesive. And so it does help to kind of look ahead and kind of batch plan it. I am a little bit nervous because next week is my last one that I have planned. So I need to get to it, pretty darn quick for me to plan the rest of those. So anyhow, you're welcome, Tracy. I think you were with us last week on YouTube. So I'm glad you're here. What else? So I think we're kind of winding down, but you're welcome to ask me any other questions. If you haven't grabbed the curriculum guide, you just go to my blog. You guys can find it. It's really, really simple. And it gives you the big ideas for kindergarten, first and second. So I have those tabbed. I decided to coil bind them this way. It made it a little bit easier for me to see versus I used to have it coil bound across the top. So this made it a little bit easier for me to kind of see and digest. And so I'll be doing weeks 9, which for kindergarten is review. Next week is week 8. And then after that, we'll have week 9, which is review, and week 10. This is when we get into the short vowel families. And then first grade is already well into the short vowel families. Let's see, got to look again. And they'll be getting into digraphs and blends over the next couple of weeks. And then second grade is here. Yeah, second grade is the green one. Yay, you were here with me last week. I'm so glad you're here again. And they're going to be working on this week silent E with 2-syllable words, and then digraphs CK and KN, digraphs PH and WR, and then some other ending digraphs. So anyhow, it's nice to have everything kind of a path to follow, so that I think sometimes when I feel like I don't know, I mean, I know where I'm going, but I don't always know how I'm going to get there. It makes me nervous. It's like, I know that at the end of the year, we've got to get to this spot, but how am I going to get there? It makes me nervous. Or if I'm going to plan a trip, if I don't plan out the route, it makes me nervous. So that's what a great thing curriculum guides can be. You can look ahead and make sure that you're going to hit all of the things that you need to teach, and that you have a way that you're going to make sure that you could go back if you have a student who comes in, middle of the year, and you're like, ooh, I need to make sure that they know all the stuff that we've already taught. You have a way to go backwards as well. So that's always really super helpful. All right, you guys have a great evening, and I will see you next week. If you guys have any special requests, I'm going to put my email in here. Like, you're like, Dee, I really, really need to know XYZ. Can you talk about that? I'm going to drop my email in there. Just email me, and I'll put it on the agenda. I'll make sure that I cover that next week. All right. I think that's it. You guys have a great evening, and I'll see you next week. All right. Bye-bye.